I think when we go through challenging times in life, and certainly battling cancer is one of those times, we often find not only guidance, but inspiration and hope in those around us within our circle of care. Sometimes just people in life that really provide us with the hope that we need to persevere and pull through and keep a positive attitude. It might be one of your doctors. It might be one of your nurses. You know, whenever you're reluctant to unload on a family member or a friend, there's your nurse saying, tell me everything that's bothering you. It might be one of your family members or a friend that really just gives you what it needs to just be able to hang on. I think it's good for all of us to have heroes to look up to listen to just derive that inner power and energy from, so that we keep our heads up high and expect to win our battle. And for me, that was a really easy one. It's obviously my dad. My dad was a cancer surgeon, so it's kind of interesting that I was really acutely aware of the fight against cancer since the time I was a young child. In fact, my very, very first science project, not sure whether I was in the 4th grade or the 5th grade, but I entered the science fair for the very first time, and it was the 7 warning signs of cancer. And I always felt like I cheated a little because my dad helped me and I won first place. But whatever. But I idolized my dad, and I idolized the fact that he was so devoted to his patients. And that was back at a time when we didn't have the amazing medicine that we have today to keep breast cancer patients alive. We've really almost gotten this to the state of a chronic illness, and it was a very different story back then in the 60s. I always thought I'd grow up to be a doctor like my dad. Growing up, it just never occurred to me that I wouldn't be a doctor. And when I was 13, though, my dad was also a private pilot, loved flying all over. He always flew all over the country speaking at big cancer conventions. And when I was 13, he was coming home from one of those cancer conventions, and he crashed and was killed. And he was only 51 years old. And only now can I kind of have a perspective that I realize how young that is and how many more lives he could have saved. And I couldn't wait to go to work in a hospital in my hometown that he had helped to found and build. And it was there that I discovered that probably stitches and scalpels were not going to be part of my career path. I think it takes just a really special person to be able to do that. And it was kind of a disappointment to me to not be able to fulfill that dream. So I went on to college, studied psychology. I figured that was as close as I would ever get to medicine. Going into broadcasting, that actually at least let me disseminate information to people about health to help them make better decisions about the lives of their families and their own health. And then I got diagnosed with cancer. And it was really just a couple days after my diagnosis that I laid in bed one night thinking, life works in strange ways. And as horrible as it is to be told you have cancer, I was actually being handed an opportunity to kind of pick up where my dad left off and fulfill his legacy and follow in his footsteps. And that was kind of a reconnection to a very big dream of mine. And all throughout this cancer treatment, I can tell you that I don't think there's been a moment that I haven't thought of my dad. And you know, now I'm out on the speaking trail, and every time I'm standing up in front of an audience talking about cancer and cancer prevention and motivating women to get their testing and find out early, because early detection is so important, I kind of feel like my dad's right there on the podium with me. So this has been an odd, inspired opportunity for me. It's been the silver lining, the golden nugget inside something that would otherwise have seemed to be a terrible thing. So my hero is definitely my dad. And I think we all have heroes. We need heroes. So what I want to know is, who is your hero? Tell us who your hero is so that we can be inspired by them.